welcome on board. I would like to introduce Dr. Masood Khatak. He's a lecturer of politics and international relations in the IIUI Pakistan. He got his doctoral degree in international relations from Islamic Islamabad with a focus on Indian military strategic thinking and its impacts on the Pakistan. He have served in the Japanese embassy as a political advisor, and he possessed more than 10 years of research and training experience in the field of international relations, strategic studies, and nuclear deterrence in the South Asia. So today, Dr. Masood will be talking about the hybrid warfare and challenges and responses for the Pakistan. Over to you, sir. The stage is yours now.
Thank you very much, Copier, and I'm glad to hear all the learned and august participants and dignitaries. The topic, let me share the slides first, and then we can discuss on. Okay. I'm going to talk about Indian hybrid warfare strategy and challenges for Pakistan, and how Pakistan is tackling these issues, and what are the impacts of Indian hybrid warfare strategies of India against Pakistan. So hybrid warfare, as we many speakers have discussed, that the hybrid warfare is not a new phenomena. It is centuries old phenomena, and many empires and countries, they have been using it. In our context, in subcontinent, let me give a reference of Mauryan Empire, and during that empire, Chanakya Kautilya, who wrote Arthashastra, and a well-known, you can say, book which focuses on war and diplomacy. During that period, during Chandragupta Maurya, India, the Chandragupta Maurya was able to establish the biggest ever Hindu empire in subcontinent. And it was because of Chanakya Kautilya's advices and his work which he did for his king. I have extracted a few things from his book Arthashastra, which talks about four things: Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed, and more focus is on the exploiting the secrets. Bhed means that you try to exploit the weaknesses of the enemy through secret operations. And let me further explain in his definition of war. In Arthashastra, he talks about three types of war, and open war, secret war, and undeclared war. In open war, he talks about that openly, outrightly attack your enemy and just decide the win or defeat. So in our context, 1965 war and 1971 war were the open wars. Then he talks about secret war, in which he talks about the sudden attack, and you take the enemy by surprise. And normally these attacks are limited attacks. In our context, we can take examples of surgical strike or India's conventional war strategies like cold start and others. But when we talk about hybrid warfare, we get reference of hybrid warfare from this Arthashastra, which was written in 300 BC, the undeclared war. And undeclared war is quite relevant to hybrid warfare strategy of modern times, in which you carry out secret operations, use of spies, exploit the religious vulnerabilities of the enemy. Sometimes you use carrot and stick policy, and sometimes you carry out direct and indirect attacks. So in this whole debate, we come to a conclusion that hybrid warfare in our scenario is not a new thing. It has been there since ages. But when we talk about in modern times between India and Pakistan, so after since 1947, we are up against each other, and the hybrid warfare we carried out against each other since 1947. Even today, if you look at India and Pakistan's border and their military deployments against each other, so you'll find that most of Pakistani military security forces, they are deployed on the Indian border, and their most of the troops are deployed against Pakistan. So we are up against each other in this domain. So according to the given literature on India and Pakistan, we can come to a definition of hybrid warfare in our context, that it is the state and non-state actors which you use against your enemy, flexible and fluid adversary, Sometimes you carry out offensive diplomacy, media campaign, propaganda, fake news, proxy wars. Of course, both countries have been involved against each other. Engineered social movements in Pakistan, for example, they were sponsored by the Indians since ages. Cyber attacks. Both countries are also, there at low intensity level, not at the level the Chinese or the Americans are involved. Then terrorism and insurgencies, which are, there. Indeed, the Indians have been supporting these insurgencies in Pakistan, and Pakistan is also doing the same in India, for example, and of course, covert operations. So, in all this, definition, you can see all these things are there in South Asian context against Pakistan, for example. So, hybrid warfare, as I told you, in Pakistani context, it is not new phenomena. The excellent, you can say, execution of hybrid warfare was in 1971 in East Pakistan, when India, supported an insurgency there and trained about 150,000